They've started implementing their school improvement plans by using the school improvement grants. So it has come at a very good time. I think it's something that will create a lot of improvement in the schools because, as you know, this region is a deprived region. It's one of the poorest regions of the country, and school payments have been difficult to come by.
Some education-related MDGs the 2014 rounds of CCM hope to accomplish include the school management. Raising capacities of school heads in this area will improve their record keeping, which is said to be very crucial for schools to function effectively.
The issues around schools are many, and the ministry is actually working towards, improving the entire school system as enshrined in the schools improvement program. And really, issues like early grade reading are dear to our hearts because it is realized that it's very critical in the overall education process for young children. And I know that so far we have seen indicators showing that it is helping students acquire knowledge and skills in a manner that is unprecedented.
Martin Gomez, the principal of St. Augustine Senior Secondary School, who also doubles as the deputy head of the Conference of Principals of Senior Secondary Schools, said the activities of the CCM and that of the Conference of Principals are in tandem.
We are equally concerned about quality, and this is why we have come together to form a conference which allows us to network and discuss issues affecting our schools and see how we can resolve them. And I think that is the same thing that CCM is doing. We help each other at times when one is in need, and we also discuss issues affecting our various schools, and it's just in tandem with what is happening in CCM. It's all meant to improve the teaching and learning that is taking place in our schools.
This activity of the ministry exhibits cordiality through intersectoral dialogue for the realization of full-scale implementation of the education policy at regional and school levels. Top bra at the Ministry of Education hold the belief that if the development is nurtured, it has the potential to eventually earn a standard and quality education for all. Samuel Ba, GRTS.
We now take our first break. International news is up next.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas from GRTS. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Welcome back. The remains of the late South African anti-apartheid icon Nelson Mandela have been finally laid to rest in his home village of Kunu in a ceremony attended by family members and some world leaders. This brings to an end 10 days of official mourning declared after Mr. Mandela's death on December 15th. We have details in the CFI report.
It's the last image of Nelson Mandela, a final funeral service for Madiba in his family property in Kunu, his childhood village.
May the grace of the Lord be sufficient, now and whenever the longing for Tata becomes unbearable.
At that very moment, 3 helicopters carrying South African flags are flying over the village, like that day in 1994 when Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. Then the cameras turn away, complying with the family's wishes. The burial took place in a strictly private ceremony. A few hours earlier, a religious chant followed by the South African national anthem opened the last official funeral service. After 10 days of mourning and tributes, this final farewell was marked by pure emotion. Ahmed Kathrada, Mandela's close friend and prison mate on Robben Island, had a hard time holding back his tears.
Farewell, my dear brother, my mentor, my leader. I have lost a brother. My life is in a void, and I don't know who to turn to. Thank you very much.
Emotion and laughter sometimes. But everyone wanted to hail one last time this icon of reconciliation, this comrade in arms
He set
they
up the
fought
Children's
with.
Foundation so that his
But
legacy of
Mandela
caring-
was also a simple grandpa.
We shall miss you, Tatomkhulu. We shall miss your stern voice when you were not pleased. We shall miss your laughter.
And Jacob Zuma promised to make sure Mandela's legacy lives on.
As your journey ends today, ours must continue in earnest. One thing we can assure you of today, Tata, as you take your final steps, is that South Africa will continue to rise.
South Africa, which on the 15th of December turned a page of history.
The plight of small-scale African farmers and their ability to feed Africa's urban populations is the focus of a meeting of experts in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. The meeting will explore means of increasing production among African farmers and the threats posed by foreign investors who cultivate land in Africa for export to their home countries. Details in the CFI report.
Was the question raised on Friday by experts of the FARM Foundation. Small farms in Africa are threatened by huge industrial concerns. The aim of the meeting was to determine how small farmers could increase both the size of their holdings as well as their yields. If the majority of these farms, which are mostly family-owned, if they fail to enter into the economic circuit and fail to earn decent livings from their activities, what will become of them? Either they will crowd into the shanty villages around the big cities, or they will seek work in other sectors such as industry, if those sectors develop. There are also concerns about the scarcity of arable land, which is being sold off to urban developers and multinationals. Qatari, Saudi Arabian and Korean sovereign funds are buying up land across the continent. They prefer to use the land to grow crops for export rather than meet the needs of local communities. They are beginning to take everything. It's too much. Before it was coffee and cocoa. Today, it's rubber and palm oil. They are taking up large areas of land, and land that has been put aside for cultivating rubber. So there is a problem. Another problem is the freshness of produce. Fruits and vegetables often fail to survive the long overland journeys to urban markets. A tremendous amount of produce spoils. We have to address this problem of waste, which is one of the reasons why there is an insufficient amount of produce. Reducing this waste is key to increasing production to feed urban populations by 2050. Millions of Africa's small farmers complain that they are forced to undersell their produce in order to compete with the mass of cheaper foreign imports. Local produce is no longer the choice of consumers. Even such traditional staples as rice are being edged out by Asian competitors.
We now take a second break. And before we take leave of you, a quick reminder of the day's top stories. More than a dozen top-notch Nigerians from the Federal Ministry of Transport are eyeing the Gambia for investment after hearing that the port of Banjul is free from piracy attacks. Safety on the highways, lawmakers are moving closer to criminalizing the use of pedal bicycles without helmet. Senior officials in the Education Directorate have been holding a meeting in the Upper River region to look at ways and means of